Come right over here. Go ahead, Mr. Cloud. We want you to finish your question. This is your ex-mayor, and now we know why it's Mr. Maloney that you're marrying.
Platform became reality, right? They wouldn't see the benefit of that $15 now.
And we understand that, and we've been clear that we understand who we are.
They wouldn't see the benefit of that $15 now.
And we understand that, and we've been clear.
With over 12 million visitors to Niagara, what is the federal government's commitment to strengthen the tourism industry, and specifically through tourism marketing efforts? And Liana Villela, we begin with you for 1 minute, please.
Sorry, you can take to the next person.
Okay, we'll open the floor then. We'll open the floor at this point.
Sorry, you can take to the next person.
Okay,
Where do you think how this government treat a nation like Saudi Arabia? And given its deplorable human rights record, should Ottawa not be imposing sanctions against that country? Minute and a half, please.
I'm not going to be able to answer that.
You're not going to be able to answer that question.
No, sorry.
Well, we'll move on. A minute then, Vance Badaway.
Thank you, Grant.
Minute and a half, please.
I'm not going to be able to answer.
That if you have a small tax cut for a small business, that's not automatically going to create more work for people.
It doesn't automatically. You're absolutely correct. I can't speak to what other businesses do. I don't know where you get your statistics on that. Do you have statistics on?
I'm asking you the question because I'm questioning.
I'm not going to
premise.
speculate on whether with those tax savings they hire people or they don't hire people. It is an encouragement to hire people. With regards to, I'm going to go back to the entrepreneurship. I'm a small business owner. I am an entrepreneur in my own right, I guess, small business owner. And I've spent the last 27 years learning very quickly that I make what I put out. So the harder I work, the more money I make. The less I work, the less money I make. So I come from a different background. So the guaranteed, those of us in small business can't comprehend that. We have to work very hard to make a certain living, obviously.
Okay, yes, I'd like to step in, sir. I appreciate that very much. I just want to raise some awareness to a couple things, and that's the language that's involved here from the people to my right. They're using this language that's an us and them kind of discussion. Us rich versus them poor. That's the problem. We're talking about rich people talking about poverty. The other thing is, the other bit of language that they're using, and please pay attention, it's all contingencies. This is all if then. If you do this, then I might do that. Nothing's real. Nothing's applicable. The actual question he asked, we totally diverged from that with all the rhetoric that I've been trying to work against over these past debates.
And our final opening statement this afternoon is from David Clough from the Green Party.
Well, I'm here for a different reason than these other candidates. I'm not here to reiterate a party platform. I'm not here to read off my pages. I'm here to draw attention to what I think is a distinction, a dichotomy that we have to pay attention to. We have these three party representatives here just doing that, representing their party. I don't have to speak about myself. A lot of people know me. I grew up in this community. You can Google my name and find pages and pages of information about me. It's not about me and it's not about the party. What we're talking about here, I want you to draw your attention to one thing. These folks to my right are going to be talking about details, tiny details, like 1 point in a percentage point as far as taxes go. And they are going to try to draw your attention to that and make that the crux of the argument, when in fact the argument is going to be about a whole bunch of confounding variables. I'm going to be drawing attention to that over this next little bit.
Time is up on the 90 seconds. We now move to David Clough of the Green Party. David, 90 seconds for your opening comments.
Thank you. Well, I just want to say, this is going to be different. I'm not going to be speaking to you like these other candidates. We have Malcolm here who's going to be blaming the fact that he didn't get anything done on the Conservative governments in power. But we've seen that we have Conservatives in St. Catharines and the Niagara Falls riding who have failed to change anything for the folks there. We're going to have Badaway Mr. Badaway speak about infrastructure and this shot in the arm that's supposedly going to fix us. And we have Leanna Villela, who's going to play on the politics of fear. But none of these things are going to be taking into consideration what we need to pay attention to here in Niagara. We're not supposed to be voting for a party. We're supposed to be voting for the person that we think will represent us here. We have a situation here in Welland, in St. Catharines, in Port Colborne, in Thorold that needs to be addressed. Malcolm Allen spoke about in 2006 the brownfields. This area has been a sacrifice zone for corporations that have come in, taken advantage of this community, left their poisons behind, left us with pulled pensions, and nothing was done about it. Well, there's a lot that can be done about it, and I'm going to be explaining that over the questions that we're going to be facing. I want to ask you all here tonight to see through this party talk and realize that it's all the same. We've been let down too many times by the parties in the past. We need regional representation, and I'm going to be that, if you'll all elect me.
Canada. And that's what the Heritage Council does with the many programs that they have implemented through funding, through the Conservative government. And one of their most recent funding programs that they've got is the $250,000, I believe, that Claire had received for the Women's Entrepreneurship Program. And that started off as an immigrant program and has now been expanded into all women in entrepreneurship.
That's your 1 minute, Leanna. We'll open the floor. And David? Sure.
Okay. Again, I think this is just distraction happening here by our Conservative candidate. We have a situation, a conflict situation in Syria, for example, that's confounded by climate issues. And we have a current government that thinks that dropping bombs is a solution to that. We need to adhere to the requests from the UN, provide peacekeepers. We need to take in as many of these refugees as we possibly can, and we need to do it right now. You know, to talk about the future, which is what we're going to get from these other candidates, we need to have a streamlined application process that's not constantly changing, that's not taking years for these people to get here. This is a dire circumstance, and we need to do so right away. We need to resolve this issue immediately, and I will ask, what are we doing? What are we going to do right now? You know, there was a discussion taking place tonight in this community. We need to do more, and we need to do it right now, I think.
If I can
Sure, go ahead.
on that, actually. So then you'll be happy to know that we originally were to settle 11,000 folks, refugees from Syria. And we settled 2,000, I believe 605. And I know you're not one for numbers, but that's a fact. And we were, it was going to be a 3-year program, but we have sped up the process, and we will be accepting the remainder amount that we have negotiated or that we have agreed to, and that will be done by September of 2016. Visas and applicants will be processed by December of 2015. So yes, we did, under the humanitarian efforts and under the refugee crisis that's going on right now in Syria, yes, we have made we've sped up the process.
And to be clear, we're talking about a country that your party's dropping bombs on?
We're not dropping bombs on, David.
Next, Malcolm.
The issue of
Last night of Mrs. Villela telling us what a wonderful idea that was to purchase these new jets, and this was at the last debates, at the last elections. We know what a terrible debacle that situation is. These jets are not even functional. They can't even compete with jets with the jets we have now, from what I understand.
For Canadians, when we procure it.
Leanna?
I'll agree, David. Back in 2011, when they first brought out the F-35s. We did agree, and I did agree, that those were the best planes to be chosen. And it came down to them looking at obviously many different factors. And in the end, that was the best plane that was going to be able to service our military in the best capacity. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you, what the future of the F-35 is at this present time. What, did you want to intervene? Oh, sorry.
We have low-wage, high-risk, precarious positions that we're forced into because of our debts, and we need to provide real jobs. Right now, we have a small amount of industrial land here, and they're brownfields, or worse, they're polluted. We need to apply to the federal government, make sure that they come in. While Mr. Badaway and Malcolm are bragging about the Valet Center, the company that owns Inco, we should be going after them, making sure this company has the worst modus operandi ever. It's an atrocious company as far as civil rights and environmental abuses go. And they do give money. If we go after them, we'll be able to get money. We'll be able to truly remediate this land. Bioremediation, phytoremediation, where we plant trees in the soil and other types of vegetation that can suck those metals from the ground and the poisons from the ground so that we can have corporations come back. No corporation will willfully take on the liability that we're offering them. We need to talk about real jobs, because if we have real jobs, then, as you pointed out in the question, they won't need to worry about pensions from low-wage part-time jobs, because they'll have real pensions. And these other candidates, they won't be able to speak for you here. We need to make sure that we have someone in that House of Commons who's doing what I'm doing right now, straight shooting and saying, where's our pensions? My aunt, whom I love very much, she is so prim and proper usually. And I also want to say hi, Mom, right now, and hi, Aunt, because I love you guys. But you know what? They when we bring up this kind of talk, she'll start swearing and get so upset because my uncle doesn't have a job. He's forced to work a minimum wage job in his 60s because his pension got pulled.
Next on the topic, Leanna, are you ready?
Oh, I'm
Sure.
ready. Yeah. When it comes to
I'm the Green Party candidate. I became the Green Party candidate because I wasn't too happy with what I've seen out there in politics. I'm kind of somewhat in between your age and the age of these guys here. And growing up, I never wanted to vote. I didn't want to hear politicians talk about anything, to be honest. But there's certain things I care about. When I go to Marine Land, which is close to here, the animals in captivity bother me. It may bother some of you. When I hear about climate change and I hear about the inclement weather and all these terrible things that may be coming toward us, that bothers me. When I think about post-secondary tuition and the amount of funds that I owe the governments that these guys are representing, it gets me upset. And I think, should 16-year-olds be voting? Definitely, because you have to. This is your future. Your families are all worried right now about how they're going to pay for your post-secondary education. You're probably worried about what you're going to do. The Green Party's putting forth a plan so that we can all have free post-secondary education for trade school, colleges. And this is what politics should be about. It should be about you caring about something and getting active. Growing up, I was, always worried about the principal and guys like these, the mayor, and I thought, wow, what are they doing? I don't see, these things happening. I hear about animals going extinct. I hear about pollution in the ground. You can go plant over here where I grew up. And I think, what are they doing? Is this happening? I look at the science, it's there. And so realize that these things that are all very, very important to you, I'm sure they will be, that's politics. And if you want to hold these guys, hold it to them, stick it to them, you can. You can say, I don't want animals in captivity. And you can come and do what I'm doing right now. And you can go and you can become a candidate and say, I want to stand up for those animals. I want to stand up. I want to make sure that we're talking about the climate. I want to make sure that we're really paying attention to what's going on around here. That's why I'm here. That's why I hope to see you guys up here doing the same thing. Get out and vote. Talk to your parents. Get them to vote. Ask them, say, are these candidates providing all the options, or do we have any other choices? And we know we do. You guys know we do. Thank you. I think we can all agree that there's no jobs on the dead planet. In this area, and I grew up in the Rodney Street community, I don't know how many of you know it or not, but it's a polluted area. The jobs that these two guys' parties brought to this area left their poisons behind, and no new corporations can come in and create new jobs on that land. They're called brownfields or worse, and it's land that's polluted, and corporations just go somewhere else and provide those jobs. The Green Party is the only party that's talking about this kind of stuff, the future. These two guys keep bringing up the term party. I don't know if any of you have ever read the book 1984, but they call it the party, Orwell calls it the party for a reason. Party politics is not good. You're not supposed to be voting, and your parents are not supposed to be voting for a party. You're supposed to be voting for someone that will represent you here, to be your member of parliament, to represent you here in region. So when they talk about what their parties are going to do, it's distracting. And this is the best part about politics. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm hoping I can inspire you guys to do this, because politics is about a conversation. I'll be honest with you. I've been hearing these guys talk this stuff for quite a few weeks now, and it's boring. It's old. I don't like it. I don't want to hear it anymore. I want us to talk about new stuff. You guys got ideas. I know you do. We all do. And we all know what the solutions are. And they're going to require new thinking, you know. These poisons in the ground equal no jobs. Their talk equals no jobs. Coming out and saying, let's think about green ideas. Let's think about our future. Let's think about walkable cities. Let's think about what they're doing in places like Europe, where people are happy, where everyone's happy. Where's that? That should be part of the discussion. That's what politics is about. So if you want real jobs, if you want to be happy with your life, it's not going to be some part-time employment where you got to worry about your health or something like that. So think new ideas. All the ideas that you have, don't ever let them quell those ideas, those dreams that you have.
Thank you. Next question. And for this next question, we'll keep it even. Well, if you don't mind, we'll get a chance to answer this question first, and we'll just work our way back that way. Okay. Many of us hope to further our education at the post-secondary level. What will your party do to help the students that have to incur large debts to further their education? Mr. Pope?
Thank you for that question, because this is the one I want to answer most. And thank you, Ali, for your previous question. My party, and the reason when I say party, I'm the only candidate here that can act on your behalf and work against my party. But in this instance, my party is the only one that's putting forth the idea that's happening in many, many countries all around the world, and it's totally, when you're not dropping bombs on peaceful nations or you're giving huge handouts to oil companies, then you can afford to take care of your own. We can pay our own education. I was $60,000 in student debt. I went to UWO and U of T. And the Green Party is going to abolish post-secondary tuition for university, trade schools, and colleges. When Elizabeth May, and I was with her at the University of Guelph a couple weeks ago, when we made this announcement, the other parties weren't even talking anything about it. Nothing. And then now, Malcolm's party, to my right here, he's going to say, we're going to remove tax. We're going to lower the tax. We're going to talk about it. Right now, it's something like 10% tax. Your parents buy a home, they only pay 2%. These governments are milking us. They're loan sharks that are going to treat you like thugs to try and get that money that they owe you. And that change in a couple percentage ain't going to mean nothing. If you have more than $10,000 existing debt, we're going to remove that retroactively. So again, if you want to listen to the same old stuff, then you can vote for these other parties, and you can ask your parents to just do what they're doing. But if you want new ideas, and if you want to save yourself before you get into university and have the $60,000 that I get phone calls every day, credit rating messed with, if you don't want that, then you vote for the Green Party. And you tell everybody to vote for the Green Party. Because the Green Party doesn't have to win. We don't have to be the government. We just need a few people like me to be doing what I'm doing, to tell these guys that we want more than what they're offering.
Thank you.
Okay, to the principal, I don't want this guy in the red shirt to get in trouble for sleeping, because these guys are putting me to sleep too. This talk here, guys, your ex-mayor just brought up the term dream about free post-secondary tuition. It's a dream. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want anybody telling me that my dreams can't come true. This is not a dream. The difference between me and you and these guys is that when we have a question, we ask Siri, and it tells us. When Vance hears about free tuition, he calls it a dream. When I hear about free tuition, I do what I want you guys to do, and ask Siri, how many countries provide free tuition? And there's all kinds of them. Germany, Finland. It's a very real thing, and it's very possible. When you're not blowing money on all the talk that these guys are talking about, dropping bombs, doing all these terrible things, then you have a ton of money. We can take care of our own. It's a very real thing. Find out how many countries do this, and you'll see that it's very doable. And then Malcolm brings up doom and gloom. When I talk about the poison that's proven to be in the ground not too far from here. If you want your father to have a job if he loses his business, there's got to be a place for it. If you guys, I don't know if any of you studied Noam Chomsky yet at all. You will when you get into university. Chomsky's an amazing man. He and Chris Hedges are a couple authors I look up to. I would hope that you guys would look into that. They talk about sacrifice zones. You guys live in a sacrifice zone. I was born up the street from it. I was born here in the Port Colborne Hospital. That poison in the ground, he's calling it doom and gloom, just like Vance is calling free tuition a dream. It's not. It's real. And we need to fix it. When we do you guys realize that you climb that fence over there, you walk in there, there's a chance you could die over by the Nickel Beach.
Answer the question, Dave.
Well, you did just avoid it, Mr. By the way. It's not a drink, guys. We can clean it up. This is not about a party. We're not supposed to be voting about a party. They keep saying the same thing over and over again, but we don't know who's going to win this election. We have no clue. So to try and vote to save this country from Harper when we don't know which plan will be best, and to do that voting against our moral imperative is just the wrong thing to do. If we do that, we're really giving up our vote. And thankfully, this is not the system we're in right now. This electoral system advises us to vote for the person that we think will represent us best. And I'm not going to claim that I know what's best for this community like these other three are, or that my party knows what's best. My party's by far the most comprehensive as far as the plan goes, but we need to have a Canadian government that works together, that's responsible. This is not something where we just put all our faith into a party and then hope that it'll work. This is what I asked Jack Layton when I interviewed him one day. I said, "Sir, if I give you my vote, what are you going to do to ensure that we move from a representative democracy to a more direct democracy? How do I know that I'm not just handing you off my vote?" And this is what's been the problem with governments up till now. We hand them off our vote and then they never pull through on what they're promising. And everything that these folks are saying are all contingencies. They're all if-then. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold a town hall meeting once a week to make sure that I'm representing what you truly want. I'll be there. You tell me what you want. So all this stuff that seems so monotonous and repetitive, if you don't want to hear it anymore, then elect me and I'll do whatever you want me to do. And that's what politics is supposed to be about. I'm not even going to be accepting a salary. This is not about that for me. I'm going to give the salary back to the community and we're going to decide how to spend that on the very first town hall meeting. Thank you. Hello, thank you very much. And good afternoon to everybody. I'm the Green Party candidate and I'm here to tell some hard truths. I want to be clear, since you guys can't see what's going on at home, I'm going to be the only candidate not reading from paper. I'm going to be telling the truth. We have 3 candidates here outside of myself that are here to represent their party. They cannot act on your behalf here in this community. They'll be whipped. There's a whip in the caucus that forces them to vote in a certain way. I want you to pay attention to the language that they're using. They're going to be trying to get you to think that they can act on your behalf. But everything they're putting forward is a contingency. It's all an if-then. If you vote for me, then you'll get this. Malcolm's going to talk about the $15 an hour that he cannot promise. It's a provincial matter. Leanna's going to talk about a drop in tax. Vance is going to talk about his boost in infrastructure. And I want you all to know that these are not the crux of the argument. These issues, though very important, are just a small facet of what we need to pay attention to. There's so much more. The Green Party is the only one putting forth a comprehensive plan. When I spoke about the grounds, the brownfields that are polluted, the grounds around here, and why there's no jobs, Malcolm called it gloom and doom. When I spoke about free tuition and moving toward not strapping our students with death sentences, Vance called it a dream. When we talked last night about saving the hospital and preventing the 2-tier system that Leanna's party wants to put forward, she called it empty promises. I want to ask you to please think about more from this.
From them. So the fear-mongering from the other parties is absolutely ridiculous.
David Clow, the Green Party.
Yes. Last night after the debate, I told Vance that I liked him. I think he's a good guy. And the reason is because these two that we just heard from are so misleading. There's no honesty at all from these two. Last night they told us that we don't know enough about this to even talk about it. This morning, Malcolm's using it as in his initial pitch. Let's be clear, folks. This is equivalent to corporate protectionism. Only 6 of the 30 chapters are on trade. The CBC and Canada Post will be gone. Our laws can be overturned to maximize corporate profit, giving up our sovereignty to foreign corporate interests. This is going to end up with a mass migration of Canadian jobs and profit, blocked websites, and so much more. The legal experts are about to comb through this hidden legislature. And Leanna, if this was protecting farmers or the audio industry, why are they converging upon Parliament to protest?
Vance Badaway, Liberal Party.
Well, I think for the
good
most
for
part.
Canadian business, and it actually has to put people back to work. This deal is not going to do that.
David Clow with the Green.
Yes, this is why I'm here, folks, because I want to point out something. This conversation, we could be switching the letters TPP for the light armored vehicle debate, and we would be hearing the exact same debate. We talk about the issue for a second, and then Malcolm goes off on some tangent, name dropping. What we have to look at here, folks, is these 3 parties are talking about slight variations of the same thing. The rationale behind creating these deals, that thanks for pointing that out, Malcolm, Korea did refuse our beef. These are not beneficial to us. None of this is going to work. But in the same breath, Malcolm says that, oh yes, we have to pay attention to whether or not we can do this because we need to be able, we don't want to lose jobs. Same thing with the light armored vehicles. If we're not paying attention to our moral imperative and we're only talking about money and this party line politics, then nothing's going to be ever better for anybody.
All right, we're going to stop there and get to a short break. Our news update is coming up, and then we'll return with the candidates debating candidates of Niagara Centre this week.
Here's what's making news. CKTV is hosting the Niagara Centre All-Candidates Debate with host Larry Fedoric. In studio, NDP incumbent Malcolm Allen, Conservative candidate Leanna Viella, the Liberals Vance Badaway, and David Clow with the Green Party. The first question about
Everybody's getting my name right. That's rare.
reaction on the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal. The NDP's Malcolm Allen says that the secret deal will impact the region.
What we saw with this
That was
secret
quick.
deal, and let me just say, these deals are negotiated in secret. We don't really know.
How much did it cost you for this, Malcolm?
Broad strokes from the government. They don't always give us the truth of the broad stroke. Initially, they said.
What is the price of your campaign, out of curiosity?
Albeit the Prime Minister said this is going
You
to
check Elections Canada website when we send it in.
Ballpark.
Content to 45%.
You can check Elections Canada website.
Doesn't it make you feel bad that we have to pay for that?
Conservative candidate
I just
Leanna
simply
Viella does
play
not
by the
agree.
rules, my
We
friend.
had
You play by the
concerns in the auto
rules.
sector, definitely
If you,
the Prime Minister
yeah, well, the rules are flawed, sir.
But we've also had good feedback from the auto
That's people
The Parliament will have to change it.
that's people's money you're smiling and shirking your shoulders at right now. You know what I mean?
The dairy farmers, another thing, the supply
We'll get a
management.
rebate as well.
Are,
I'm not taking any rebate.
supply management
I got for what? For my 100 signs? For my 100 signs?
Here's the rules. If you don't
I get in the newspaper by doing things, not by paying for it.
if you don't want it, they'll send it to Elizabeth May and the party.
An unusual incident on the QEW in Niagara yesterday.
And instead of smiling about it, why wouldn't you say that it's flawed?
OPP in Niagara change it in Parliament. Now listen.
An accident on the
You change it in
QEW yesterday.
Parliament.
That's
You
all.
can't change the rules.
Hit by a transport
check
truck.
Yeah, but if you disagree with the rules, you don't take part in the game. You stand up against it.
Also, like,
Hit
you know,
again
they
by
always
another
can't
unknown
keep the guys
vehicle.
on Steam.
Withdraw your nomination.
Why this guy's
Withdraw your
been the
nomination.
president if you don't agree with CB since like
I'm here to stop you guys.
Colored two-door sedan. The accident happened just after 6 yesterday morning in the westbound lanes of the QEW
Yeah, great, thank you.
at Lake Street in St. Catharines. Anyone
Especially when you don't even live in the riding.
Niagara OPP. Noel St. Clair, 610
Do you live in the riding?
He has a
What
home in
you
the
say.
riding. Roof is closed again today.
Vote in the riding, my friend. Careful. I have a voting card. Be careful.
Their American League
Careful.
Series, Texas
Well, I wouldn't
defeated the
spread
Jays
malicious
5-3
gossip
in
if you're not- you
yesterday's
can't
opener.
substantiate.
And right now the score 3-3 in the top of the third.
So you do? You live?
Voting card for the riding. How
Are
would be
running
voting the riding
collision-free
just
on
like
regional
20
roads and highways, checking the border bridges.
And my wife will be as well.
Do you reside in the riding, sir?
Heading into Canada, waiting 15 minutes. Same situation at the Rainbow Bridge.
Can you answer that?
Cars heading into Canada. Canada waiting about 10 to 15 minutes. Checking the Welland Canal bridges.
Well, thank you for answering that.
We continue to have the Main Street Bridge off limits, and the Clarence Street Bridge is fully
I find it
raised.
offensive.
If you're in St. Catharines, the Lakeshore Road Bridge is fully raised, and your weather forecast, a mainly cloudy day. There is a chance of showers this afternoon, a bit windy, high of 18.
Who's taking the
Tonight
TPP?
clearing up, low of +2. There is
God, I
a
hope not.
frost. Tomorrow, sunshine becoming a mix of sun and cloud in the afternoon, high of 15.
Larry?
On Sunday,
sorry,
sunshine
sticking
and
to the
windy,
TPP.
high of 19.
I know.
And then for the
We're gonna get some other
Thanksgiving
issues.
Monday, sunshine, windy, high of 20,
do you have
with
something-
a slight
you
chance
had
of
something
showers
to
in
add?
the
Yeah,
evening.
all right.
Right now it's 7
So you have-
degrees.
If we can do that
So you have two homes, Malcolm? You have two homes then?
Niagara votes 2015. Your vote, your voice. Text us
My life is
anytime
any
at
of your business.
61010. I'm Bonnie
Well,
Westphal.
you're
News is next.
vying for a position that I'm allowed to vote for.
610 CKTV.
Just out of curiosity. Little chit chat. I think the people in the riding deserve to know. Especially when you said you were going to move to the riding.
Do I own 2 residents?
You do.
I do.
Lucky man.
I am indeed. Worked hard all my life, so did my wife.
Yeah. The three-wheeled bike, they call it. You remember that?
You suggesting my spouse has done something wrong?
I don't know. It was a term that people call the foreman on the job or whatever.
I find it offensive that you would insult my wife.
I never said anything about your wife, sir. You misinterpreted what I said. I said three-wheeled bike.
What that means?
A three-wheeled bicycle is apparently something that people who work with a white hat in the job pedal around on and not really work. I have a dry sense of humor.
You're listening to Niagara Votes 2015. Your
Cuts is an absolute wrong and misinformation allegation against the Conservative government, because we've done our transfer payments of 6% since coming into leadership in 2006, and we will continue to make our transfer payments. How the province spends them is what's debatable here, and my opponents feel that there should be more say. I tend to agree on that respect, that we should be able to have an impact on how our money gets spent in our provinces.
Leanna Villela of the Conservatives. Let's go to David Clow of the Green Party. David.
Yeah, well, there was one factual statement in what Leanna was speaking about, and that was that the debate last night was, the crux of the argument was about the mechanism behind which the funds from the federal government will get to the municipalities. What she's talking about, everything else was totally non-factual. The Harper government did not renew the health accord in 2014. In 2011, the Harper government announced a major cut to the Canada Health transfer of $36 billion. So everything she's saying is baseless. So I want to talk about what happened last night at the debate. Leanna was pushing her two-tier healthcare system and privatization, and Malcolm was talking about his inaction and how it has led to the blue team not taking part in what he was doing. But I asked him, what is the mechanism, Malcolm? What is actually going to take place? What is your party putting forward to provide this integration between the different levels of government? The Green Party is the only one putting forward a Council of Canadian Governments, which is going to provide this integrative collaboration between all levels of government, including Indigenous communities and other community organizations. That mechanism, and he wouldn't respond last night. Neither of them would respond. But the fact is, he answered in his question that we need to move toward national plans. National, yes, like the Green Party is putting forth the National Healthcare Plan, a National Pharmacare Plan that will save $11 billion a year through bulk buying. But there is no actual plans in place, and there is no mechanism with which he can do that. And the reason that's the case is so that he can back out of what he claimed to have done, like stopping the hospital, cleaning up the brown lands. If he adds his back-out excuse right into his statement, then we have what we've seen for the past two parliaments, which is little.
Have the influence from the federal level. And the second point I want to make is that with all the strategies and the money that the NDP is looking at spending, it's all backloaded. We need that now. We need it immediate. We don't need it 5 to 10 to 15 years from now, which the NDP is proposing. It's all backloaded. And they're misleading those across the nation.
The healthcare fund is up front, it's not backloaded.
Ideally, it has to be right now. We need it here in Niagara Center now,
and the
not
healthcare
5 to 10
funding,
years.
the healthcare funding is at the beginning of the mandate.
And you can tell by the words Malcolm's using: will, could, can, may. It's all forward thinking. It's all contingent. None of it is guaranteed. He avoided the question. There was no mechanism behind what he's saying.
We transfer funds from the federal level. What we require is a member of parliament that's going to work with the province and ensure that Niagara Centre gets their fair share of that funding. That's what it's going to come down to. All this other stuff is fluff, to be honest with you, fluff.
All the money your party's cutting is fluff?
It's not being cut. As I said, $27 billion over the next 5 years.
I don't know how anybody believes anything you say.
Niagara Centre candidates, we're going to stop for a break. We'll be back with some closing remarks in just a moment.
Ooh, little fire there, guys.
Gotta make it interesting.
Let fire.
Do you know what's going on? Or
you're a liar. To say that I said privatization, to say I'm not going to argue that because everybody knows how
do you know what a two-tier health care?
I absolutely do, and I never.
And you were bragging about it last night. You said Jack Layton even used the private health.
Under the OHIP umbrella. If you listen to me, the Shouldice Clinic is under the OHIP umbrella. Jack Layton didn't have to pay 1 extra cent. Am I correct on that, or am I wrong? Not an extra cent.
Can't tell you.
Oh.
So do you agree or disagree with two-tier healthcare?
If you turn your phone off,
you'll tell the truth?
People. Give me a break.
Wow.
What do you think?
You guys know I record everything. I post it right away. I want people to know the truth. That's why I'm here, Leanna. You ain't going to get away with it again. You're not going to be nowhere near this guy this time. You're going to be far behind. Told Vance last night, I pray it's him if it's not me. I'm the Green Party candidate. I'm here to put forward the Green Party platform and what our plans are for the issues that we're talking about tonight. I believe that the Green Party platform is by far the most comprehensive, the most forward-thinking, and that's why I'm here to speak on its behalf. But further to that, I'm going to go one further, if I can, tonight in my presentation to try to move toward the underlying issues, the deeper rooted issues around why we're here tonight. So I'm just going to start by saying that the key plank is the expansion of universal health care to cover prescription drugs for all Canadians, which would end up saving us $11 billion per year through government bulk buying. $6.4 billion will be put forward each year for municipal infrastructure from the Green Party. And I want to bring up something that's a little bit more contentious, and that's our interim federal health program, where the federal government provides health care coverage for refugees and refugee claimants for a period of time. I think that's something that we're going to need to address and make sure that we continue to do that. We have longer waiting lists for diagnosis for surgery, overcrowded emergency rooms, and increasing shortages of family doctors. Almost half of us are going to face cancer in our life. Okay, yes, a health accord, it definitely needs to be extended. I just want to point out a couple things. Firstly, Mr. Allen is going to be claiming that he's going to make sure this health accord happens. I want us to pay attention to the fact that this is a provincial issue, and yes, the money is allocated from the federal government, but I want to ask you something. In the 2 terms that he's been here, what really has he done to ensure that there's something tangible that he's actually done? You know, to just say that we're going to push for a health accord without having the means to do so is what he's been saying has led to his inaction all along. The Green Party, and we don't need to have a governing Green Party, we just need a few MPs that will push forth a Council of Canadian Governments that will provide this integrative collaboration between all levels of government, including Indigenous communities. The NDP are not putting forth a means to provide this interactivity.
Spend it. Whether that's something I agree with or don't agree with, I don't think it's been working. Obviously here in Niagara, we're feeling the pinch. And as far as the federal government from our end, things that we've done to invest in healthcare is primarily, this is one that sticks out in my mind. We're investing $70 million over 3 years to increase, and the key words here, health services in the territories
Please.
system that we have currently now. So that would be something that I would like to bring forward.
Can I respond? Okay, so to clarify, that was Mrs. Villela saying yes, she agrees with a two-tier system. And that's definitely something we cannot have here. It is her party that led to this meeting. This is why we're here. This is why the hospitals are closing. We need to understand the underlying issues here are austerity, and it's mismanagement of government that leads to cuts in our funding. This is why they're removing this hospital. Malcolm, I want to ask you as well separately. The health accord is definitely something that needs to be extended. We understand that the Canada Health Act is very much in place. The question that was just asked was one about universality and accessibility. My question to you, sir, is you claimed in all the recent debates up to now that your inaction has been a result of the blue team not working with you. What are you going to do to ensure that there is an agreement between the different levels? Okay, I would just like to respond to this as well. I think that, again, I want to point out the underlying issue here if I can. This is something separate. I think that we're talking about a hospital closure here. We're talking about a situation with regard to access to medicine for all. My mother's really sick. She has cancer. She can't even afford her medicine. She's been refused disability. And I think we need to try to focus on the underlying issues, if at all possible. Again, this is austerity. These are economic principles designed because of government mismanagement. We need to have new ways of thinking. We need to have guaranteed livable income for all. Life will change for us all. Health is more than just health. Prevention and health promotion saves lives and money. They're alluding to it, that how much money we will save if we start coming up with new ideas, but there aren't any. Leanna's government is the one putting forth these austerity measures. They're the ones that made it 67, not 65. They're the ones.
Given that we have an aging population needing chronic, urgent, and complex care, a national plan is needed to address these needs. Will you develop, fund, and implement a national plan to meet these needs, and how will you plan to work?
Yes, the Green Party does have a very robust plan. We will improve the existing chronic care system by enshrining a policy that seniors care must be provided in the communities where their family lives, expanding home support and home care programs with assisted living services. We're going to transfer more funds to the province to build and open more long-term care beds, and we're going to educate Canadians about end-of-life issues, increasing funding for palliative care hospices and hospitals in our communities, enact living well legislation that guarantees people the right to limit or refuse medical intervention. And again, this is the situation, and I hate to use your line, Vance, but I do like it. We got the why, but where's the how, right? How are we going to do this? How is this going to be implemented? And what we're missing is what the Green Party is putting forth. And again, we don't need to have a governing party for this to happen, but we need to have a game plan how these federal funds will come forth. They've been alluding to the fact that the health accord has expired, that something new needs to be instantiated, but the Green Party is the only one coming up with any of these new ideas, these forward-thinking ideas that are going to actually prevent the closure of the hospital. If we don't talk about the underlying issues, about the things that are happening, then all they're going to be doing, I call it musical chairs. They just keep shifting around in their positions and nothing ever changes. We need to have new ideas, and Elizabeth May and the Green Party has them.
In neuroscience with regards to this since 2006, that's something I'm very proud of with our government.
Okay. I don't know if anybody else is noticing, but I sure am, that these questions are kind of being avoided. It's a dementia strategy, and the Green Party is the only one that does. Ma'am, please stop shaking your head at me. I'm sorry you don't agree with what I'm saying, but you're not part of the debate. The national dementia strategy that the Green Party is putting forward is the only comprehensive one. Sir.
I think, most of us are here for the sort of the issues around healthcare, and so if we could avoid the ad hominem stuff, I think that would make the
AKA ad hominem. Okay, so yes, the Green Party is the only party with a national dementia strategy, which includes more long-term care beds in neighborhood facilities and improved supports for family members. To answer the question.
Okay.
Might occur. But rest assured, when it is become full knowledge for all of us, I will be the first one to be transparent about that and let you know exactly what's in it and how it's going to affect us with regards to our drug plans.
Seems like all the answers are the same from that end of the table. We know a lot about the TPP. In fact, I'm not sure why they're saying these things. The TPP is a very, very dangerous thing. It equates to what is called corporate protectionism, and there's a reason why the Conservative candidate agrees with that. The same reason why she agrees with this two-tier health system. I've been in 46 United States, and I know a lot of people that go without health care because of the system she's trying to put forth, and I don't think it's a very good idea. I want to point out that this TPP, only 6 of the chapters, of the 30 chapters, are on trade. And there's a reason why these members of these industries are converging on Parliament to fight against this. I want to put forth one other thing. I want you to pay attention, if you can, to the language being used by Malcolm and by Leanna, how everything is hopefully. It's all contingencies. It's all if-then. He says, hopefully we can get him to work with us. Hopefully we can. This is the question he's been evading all night. What is the mechanism that they're going to put forth to actually make these things happen? The Green Party is the only one putting forth the idea of a Council of Canadian Governments, which is going to ensure integrative collaboration for these issues.
To ensure the transfer of funds is made. Now, where our fight is going to be, and especially here because of an aging population that we have, we're going to require more funding in the Niagara region for our seniors. And that's going to be something that I've committed to and I will continue to fight for.
Thank you. Thank you. Just so you all know, Malcolm does recognize the arguments I'm making, because notice how he stressed the word national twice there. He knew what I was referring to. He talks about how it gets done, Funny, I haven't seen anything get done. If that's how it is, in the history of Canadian politics, there's never been a minority government that has worked with the opposition. Our government has never worked. This is why I'm here right now, folks. This is why I'm saying all these things. This is why I'm so passionate, because he's insinuating that I don't have experience. You know what? I don't. And thank goodness I don't, because when you get caught in a rut like that, you don't really get anything. Nothing happens. I want to make sure that we pay attention to, well, to answer the question, the Green Party is the only party putting forth a national housing strategy. To use the term national, then to avoid the question, and she said, oh, I'll work with, I don't know, barely even knew her name, how are you going to work with her? This is what I've asked both of them. What's the mechanism behind this integration between the levels of the government? For too long, there's been no communication, no function.
Pharmaceuticals, but I think this is a question about process.
Well, I'm not there, so I'm not going to be able to specify what the process would be. I know what I would like it to be. And we have, as I said, we are going to be working with the provinces to ensure that we have a bulk buying drug program. And that's going to be Minister Rona Ambrose's job, and she's done a great job so far, and no reason to believe she isn't going to continue to do a good job. And she has been very vocal and meeting with the provinces with regards to this, so I'm sure she's going to continue to do so. From my end, my job is going to be to ensure my region is on the map. My region is first and foremost to Rona to know that we're requiring extra care down here, and that's going to be my job as a member of Parliament.
So that's a no to the question for all of you that missed it. We have a plan, as I've spoke about, and I appreciate this question very much, sir, because you had the foresight to understand that this was the crux of the argument. What is the mechanism that's going to be able to move from Malcolm being able to blame it on the blue team and Leanna just to shirk any responsibility at all, as she has in any previous debates? She often just freezes up and doesn't answer like that. It's very nice to see that their plan is missing. It truly is. There is no plan. There is no mechanism between what they're saying is going to take place from how it's going to happen. Mr. Badaway's been pointing it out. What's the how all this time? Where is the how? That billboard that Malcolm's smiling at that he put up over there about saving the hospital for the election. That will not save the hospital, folks. It's going to require what that man from England came that day and told us. You got to go to the people that are making it happen. Leanna in this case, that's why I said it was weird that you're there, Leanna, because the man was talking about you and your party that we need to protest against.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Wow. Yeah, I think for the moment, you talk about, just, wow. All over the place here. It's all about mechanism, and I think for the most part.
And I'd also like to thank our timekeepers here, who kept everyone on their toes.
They canceled the meeting,
And thanks to you for coming out.
No closing statements, sir?
Oh,
I thought we had closing statements.
sorry, do we? Yes, we do. Sorry. My apologies, Steve.
Start from the opposite end.
You first, Leanna.
How long? Why don't we do that? Yeah. You start.
You had the short straw.
What is it, a minute each for closing statements? Just so I know.
Is it 60 seconds or?
I thought 90. I was told 90.
Let's do 90.
Oh. So tonight we've heard from some career politicians. I'm not a career politician. Some empty promises, because the reality is that the federal government transfers funds. So the job of a member of parliament is going to be to fight for those funds.
Thank you very much. I just want to bring up that man, that amazing man, that Sue, that you brought here. When he told us, and this is a very intelligent man, when he came here to tell us how to save our hospital, he told us it's going to take a very vocal leader that's going to rally us. And we don't have that right now. What we have, and if you notice, the three candidates to my left minus Ron are bringing up the idea that they're going to work for you, because this is something I've been putting forth at all the debates. They can't. Not one of them are able to work outside of their party. They're all going to be whipped. There's a member of their caucus that forces them to fold into party line, and they have to do that. That's just a fact. They can't do what they're claiming to do. They can't provide the mechanism because they just don't have it. Now, I've been doing, their platforms are missing. When I talked about the poison in the ground near the Inco plant, how we need to have brownfield remediation around here, Malcolm called it gloom and doom. When I talked about our post-secondary tuition removal and removing previous debts, Vance called it a dream. Leanna just stepped in and called all this empty promises. The reason why they're using these terms is because their platforms are simply missing what's required. They don't have any new ideas. You folks are all older than me, and you know, you've seen it longer than I have, how many times these governments have let us down. Why would we continue to follow that same path? We need the new ideas that only the Green Party's doing. I'm going to sleep outside that hospital tonight because I'm going to do what these other candidates won't be doing what that man from UK said we have to do. Thank you.